Welcome to another episode in our journey around the Grimm fairy tales. This one is entitled The Little Mouse, the Little Bird and the Little Sausage. It's a little known tale and was published in the very first edition of the Grimm's Children's Household Tales in 1812. I can't find really any origin backstory for this tale, who first told it to them or whether they made it up themselves. I can't find anything about it. It's really, really obscure. Our short tale today starts with the classic Once Upon a Time, which was first used around the year 1380 and more popularly used from the 1600s onwards. And I will be doing an origin story of where that phrase came from, probably in the coming months. Our tale opens with a little mouse, a little bird, and a sausage who came together, ended up being friends, and they decided to set up house together. Unlikely, but bear with me on this one. For a long time, all three lived together in peace and happiness and managed to increase their possessions by a considerable amount. They weren't poor by any standards, which is different to most fairy tales, because most fairy tales start with the main character being either destitute or, having been wealthy, having it stripped from them and banished from places or put to work in really terrible conditions. So this is a little bit different. But they each had a job to do around the house to ensure the smooth running and the harmony of their home. The little bird was to fly to the forest every day and bring back wood for the fire. Every day, without fail. The little mouse had to carry water, light the fire, and set the table. The sausage had to do all the cooking. Ironic, I know. Now, when things are running smoothly and that perfect for people, some people get bored with that state of affairs and they want to look for new things. And this is what happened to the three friends. So one day it happened that the little bird was flying around as usual, gathering the wood, when he saw another bird and decided to boast to them about how well he had it and how good his life was. Not exactly a humble brag, but still a brag. But if he was expecting or unimpressed from this other bird, he was very much mistaken. The other bird started laughing at him and said he was a complete sap who was doing the majority of the hard work while the other two got to stay at home all day, doing practically nothing. He was out in all weathers while they got to sit really, really cushy by the fire at home. For instance, after the mouse started the fire and carried the water into the house, she generally went to her little room and rested until she was called to set the table. The sausage stayed by the cooking pot and kept an eye on it, and right at mealtime he slid through the stew or vegetables to make sure everything was salted, seasoned, and ready to eat. As soon as the little bird came home and laid down his bundle, they would sit down at the table, and after finishing the meal they would sleep soundly until the next morning, and then the whole thing would cycle around again. Now this played on the little bird's mind all day while gathering the wood for the home, and by the time it came to go back home, he was absolutely furious at having been given the short end of the stick while his other two friends had it really easy. When he got back, the little bird demanded that things had to change. He was no longer going to be the sap when seemingly his two friends had a really easy life and were letting him do all the hard work. Now the little mouse and the sausage vehemently disagreed with this plan, as they would if they were having it easy. But the little bird had his way and they decided to draw lots to see who would be doing what, as a fair turnout, and leave it to fate, as things so often are in fairy tales. It was decided that the sausage would be the one to go out every day into the wilderness and gather the wood. How he was supposed to bring it home wasn't discussed. The little bird would start the fire in the grate and go to bed on an afternoon, and the mouse would be the one in charge of the cooking pot. Seems fair, right? So let's see what happens. So this was decided to all start the day after. So the sausage got up early and went into the woods to find all the wood. I don't know how he was supposed to carry it home, but there we are. The bird started the fire for the cooking pot and set the table and then took himself to bed. Again. And the mouse was in charge of the cooking pot and was setting up the kitchen for the food that they were going to have. The little mouse and the little bird waited all day for the sausage to return with the wood, and as the day got longer and the sausage still did not return, they started to get a little bit worried about him. The two friends decided that they should go look for him, because sending a sausage out into the forest to gather wood seems like an absolutely fabulous idea. So the little bird, whose idea this all was, flew out to try and find him. Now when the sausage had gone out, with all good intentions of finding wood for the home, not far from the house he encountered a dog. Now times were hard, and the sausage, having never left the house, didn't know about the dangers that this would pose. Now the dog wasn't about to pass up an easy meal, especially one that was just casually walking towards him, and promptly took the sausage in his jaws and swallowed him whole. Probably not even tasting it. Now when the little bird arrived on the scene and accused the dog of highway robbery, of stealing their sausage. He probably hadn't met the dog before, and if he was going to accuse him of anything, he might as well have accused him of murder, to be quite honest. But it didn't work, as the dog maintained his innocence and, spoken like a true lawyer, mentioned that he had found forged letters on the sausage, and therefore the sausage had had to pay with his life. Well, that escalated extremely quickly. The little bird had no choice but to pick up the wood the sausage had dropped in his effort to run away from the dog who was going to eat him, and to sadly take it back home. He had to tell the little mouse what had happened, and they were very upset at the loss of their friend. But they agreed that they should carry on as they were and stay living together, as that is what their friend would have wanted. I'm going to read the last two paragraphs because this is seriously... I can't do it justice by just reading it from my notes. It has to be from the main thing because it is so screwed up. It's unreal. So while the little bird set the table and the mouse prepared the meal, she intended to put the finishing touches on it by seasoning it just like the sausage would have done and sliding through the vegetables the way the sausage used to do. But before she even reached the middle of the vegetables, in this boiling cauldron of hot water and food and broth, she got stuck and had to pay for it with her life. The little mouse boiled herself to death, trying to season vegetables. When the bird came to serve the meal, there was suddenly no cook. He became so upset that he scattered wood all over the place, calling and searching for the little mouse, but his cook was no longer to be found. Since the little bird was so distracted, he didn't notice that the wood had caught fire, and the house promptly went up in flames. The bird rushed out to fetch some water to douse the fire, but the bucket slipped and fell into the well, dragging the bird along with it. Since he couldn't manage to get himself out, he was left to drown. And that's the end. It is a very short little tale, and good God is it disturbing, but ooh, it's so much fun. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Now, if you enjoyed this little tale, I highly recommend checking out an animation done on it by Tom Blythe. I'll link it in the description below. I found it really entertaining. Your children might not, but I did. So it is only a little short tale today. I tried to pick a rather disturbing one as it is October. I am going to start working on some Halloween films, so please stay tuned for that. And if you like this video, please like, comment and subscribe down below, and keep reading.